Welcome everyone to AAUW Conversation and Connection. I am Sharon Watson Hamilton. AAUW stands for the American Association of University Women, and we advocate for equality in many levels, all levels, but especially young women and scholarships and promotions like that. So oftentimes I bring in guests from the community, not just members of AAUW, although I like to do both. But today I have a guest, Neva Parker. And before I introduce her, though, I want to tell you that AAUW does not endorse candidates or parties on a political scene. But we do have like-mindedness thinking, and I love to talk with people in that relevant area. But AAUW stands for we support, especially for women, economic security, equal access to equality education, social and racial justice, and women in leadership roles. It's that last one that we are going to talk to today. So with that, let me do a quick disclaimer because sometimes I do run off the rails. I know if you pay attention, you know that happens. But most of the time it's about my 49ers and they're not playing right now, so you're off the hook. But I want you to know that if I say something that's my opinion, it is mine alone, not AAUW and not ACTV. So I just want you to be aware of that. So with that, hey.
Hi.
Hi, Neva. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. And I'm learning to say your name correctly.
Yep.
I still kind of want to do Neva, but it's Neva. Neva. Now, I had you as a guest in September, and we talked a lot about, your background. We talked a lot about Prop 50 at that time with the special election in December that has already passed. And so we're going to, talk more about you this time because you are running for the State Assembly District 5.
Yes.
I've got that correct.
You did.
Okay, good. So we want to start there. So I think I'm just going to kind of shoot a bunch of questions and let's see where it takes us, right?
Let's
I know.
do it.
I'm going to catch her off the hook. But first of all, a little bit of your background. So how did the road get you into politics?
So into politics, I didn't start off wanting to go into politics. I didn't actually really think about it until just a couple of years ago. I was in politics. I worked for the legislature, and how I got there was I started at UC Davis and as a transfer student from Contra Costa College in San Pablo.
Okay.
And I needed a job. And so I was looking through the newspaper that we had at school at the time, and there was an internship for the chief clerk's office, and it was paid. So I applied for it, and I got it.
And what city were you in?
I was in Davis.
Davis.
So I was at UC Davis.
Okay.
And so I got it, and it's in the chief clerk's office, and the chief clerk is for the state assembly. Let's start with this. Both houses have like a chief kind of like operations officer sort of thing. They
kind of like a city manager.
Well, a little bit, but not. There is also that too. But their job is they're like the parliamentarian. They're just making certain that all the paperwork and the process goes smoothly.
Okay. Right.
And so it's nonpartisan. If you ever look up a bill, like a bill history, like where is this bill, all the information, it's in committee, whatever, they're the office that does that. I was one of the employees that did that. They do the official journal, which is the official record, take a roll call. They're all the folks at that front desk.
Okay.
When you watch session, it doesn't matter what session you're watching.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, whether you're watching C-SPAN, you're watching Congress, whether you're watching the legislature, it's all those folks running around like chickens with their head cut off at the front doing the work.
Yeah.
And so I was one of those people. My first job was as an intern in the proofreading office. It's engrossing and enrolling, which is super... It's actually a really cool thing. So they it sounds not cool because
I was going to say it again.
Yeah, well, like I had in my mind, I also at one point in time wanted to be like a photojournalist. I wanted to like get into journalism and all of that, and I didn't do it. I don't know why, but you know, you get all your ideas in your head
Right.
and what you want to do.
Right.
And so I just, there's a sort of like a newspaper to print kind of feeling about it. And so,
Right.
you know, like we have to do copy and we got to this. So I had that, I don't know, in some ways I felt like it was a little
Some
bit of that.
connection. Yeah.
And so, so we did proofreading, but one of my jobs was to enroll bills. And what enrollment is a process, but it culminates in those bills being delivered to the governor's office. And so I was one of, as a 21-year-old, got to deliver bills to the governor's office.
That's cool. Who was governor then?
Pete Wilson.
Let's date her.
Yeah, it was Pete. It was 1997.
Oh,
And
wow.
Yeah, 1997.
Yeah,
It was
almost
Pete
30 years
Wilson.
ago.
Yep, it was Pete Wilson. And I was in that office for 5 years. So the internship went great. Everybody always says this, like, don't say it, you worked really hard, whatever. But yes, I did work hard, but I also got lucky because there was a job opening. And I realized that there's some level of luck in, you know.
There is, but there's also a level of what they see in you.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
know,
So
yeah.
it's a balance. So
Yeah.
I try to, you know, I don't want to steer kids and listening in the wrong direction.
Yeah, like everybody
you
can
work
do
hard,
this.
you're gonna do
No, maybe not.
No, there's
Yeah,
sometimes
it's tough.
yeah, it's like there's opportunities and you have to be able to see them and take them. And so
Right.
and then also have them be available. And so
Right.
this was, and so they hired me and they hired me as a proofreader and I was there for 5 years. And then I went up to and then that was in the basement. Okay, so it was the basement of the Capitol.
No windows.
No windows.
No windows.
And we got an asbestos warning every year. And it was right next to the garage door, so we had to see all the members come in and out.
Yeah, oh,
But we're
that's
also,
fun.
yeah, it was fun.
That's kind of fun.
And then we were also right next to, sorry, I don't know what I did there.
She's breaking the studio.
We were also right next to the tour office, so I got to see all the tour guides. And I worked Parks and Recs before I came to the Capitol for the city of Hercules, which was so much fun. So it was kind of fun to be next to the Parks and Recs department. And yeah, so that's what I did. 5 years I was down there. My mom used to say I was in the archives. And then I went up to the desk, to the assembly desk, and I was assistant history clerk then. And so I helped the history clerk put in all the actions of what was happening on the floor and what was happening in committee. And I did that for a period of time. And I had like a job for about the joke is 2 weeks, but it was 2 months. And then I got poached by the Senate side. And so I went to
That's a good thing, isn't it?
it was a good thing. At the time, it was a good thing. And so I got poached because the history clerk over there was retiring, and so they wanted a history clerk, and I was already experienced. And so I went over to the Senate in 2005.
Okay.
And I was history clerk for many, many years until I became journal clerk. And then I did that, which is the official record. And then I did that until I went to the appointments unit for a little bit, and then I went through the pandemic and was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Worked from home, of course, during that time. But, lots of things happened during that time that, I reconciled a lot of what I did in terms of, public service, which that was my job. I would work, there was 1 year we worked for 48 hours straight.
Yeah.
And my last night of session, my internship, we were there until 7:30 in the morning. So I was there for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so I was there at 7:30 in the morning. So, it's, I reconciled a lot of my, this is my public service. And then, the pandemic hit and I realized, maybe I needed to do something more.
Okay.
And I realized also that how important leadership is. How important, and I should note this too, I have a master's degree in leadership.
I was going to say, did
know
you get your degree while going through all this?
No, I got my degree while I was working in the Senate. So in 2013 I got my degree.
Okay.
But yeah, I realized at that point, when something like this happens, like a pandemic or something that's going to be contentious, it's going to be problematic. People are going to rebel against whatever the government or whatever leadership wants it to do or wants them to do. You have to have strong, not strong, but firm and people really convicted on what's right and what's wrong leading, and not opportunistic people who are like, ooh, this is an opportunity to take advantage of people's fear and people's whatever. So
it seems from the outside, and I only know this from different avenues, totally different, it seems like sometimes you gotta go within and kind of follow the bad road for a while to get in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm putting it correctly, but I always thought, well, if you want to fix the problem, you kind of got to get in there.
Yeah.
And to get in there, you sort of have to play the game, which I hated to do, but I did on occasion. I was a union president for a while.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. So it's long gone in the mind. It's long gone. But to get there, there was a little bit of a, how can I say it? Not totally forthright.
No.
Sometimes you have to be able to make change. You have to get in there. To get in there, you sort of have to play a little bit of the game.
Yeah, but
a little bit.
But I feel like what you need are people who are, there's the game and then there's the exploitation. And those are two very different things. And while I was in, through the pandemic and all of what was happening, I saw a lot of exploitation. And to be truthfully honest, I saw a lot of exploitation on both sides of the aisle. So it wasn't just, but I have to concern myself with what's happening in my community, and my community is the way that my community is. So, and again, I saw a lot of opportunity grabbing. So I at that point still hadn't decided I was going to run for office. I was still working. We were working kind of hybrid. This was about 2022. I remember watching, was it 2022? It had been 2020. I don't remember when it was, but my brain is fried on years. Those 5 years, the last 6 years, there's no concept of time.
It's kind of
like
it's before the pandemic is sometime between 2020 and then I get that.
So I couldn't tell you what year it was. It was whenever there was the debate between Trump and Biden, and it wasn't really a debate. It was a sort of a scream off, and he said, "Will you just shut up?" And all that. Anyways, at that point I realized, no one's gonna save us. No one. We have the power to do this ourselves. And so at that point I was like, okay, I need to start getting involved. And I started, actually registered. I had been a no party preference voter for years, decades.
Right.
And so I guess decades now that I think about it. And then I re-registered as a Democrat, decided to get involved in the clubs up here. I joined the Placer Women Democrats. And then I just started getting involved, and we really didn't do, at the time, we're still kind of coming out of the pandemic, so there's still a little bit of, get-togethers were still a little rough and stuff.
Well, and, to be fair, there was, at a national level, a lot of uncivility.
Yeah.
And so that was hard to, what's the word I'm groping for without being totally off the road? It was just hard to handle sometimes, hard to understand how a leader of our country, and I will not, anyway, it was just contentious, let's put it that way, and a little hard to understand. On the same token, is this your first office you've run for?
Well, I ran last election, but yes, it is the first office that I'm running. Yeah.
Right. And can you tell me real quick, where is District 5?
District 5 is parts of Placer and El Dorado County.
Okay,
so,
El Dorado. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not all of it. So just for Placer County, it's like Roseville, Rockland. It goes up to Auburn, North Auburn, Meadow Vista. Doesn't quite go up to Colfax, so it cuts off of there. And then it goes down through Cool and Coloma, through Placerville, a little bit higher than Placerville, but basically through Placerville down to El Dorado Hills. Does not include Forest Hill. Interestingly enough, the district that butts up against this one is ginormous and goes from Eureka, clear down to South Lake Tahoe. Yeah, it's huge.
Big district.
So you can kind of traverse the district in, 2 hours. It's not like that one where it would take you several hours to get.
But still, that's a big area.
It is, and it's very...
Does it include Folsom?
No, because that's Sacramento County.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You're right. You're right. Sorry about that.
So it is big. The population center is Roseville in this area. But it's also it's most suburban, and we don't really have urban areas, but suburban areas is mostly rural. Right. And so you go up to El Dorado County. El Dorado County is pretty much all rural if you don't take El Dorado Hills into account. So, it's just so different from here just to Sacramento, which is just right next door. So
yeah. So So the district, I have to be careful how I ask because we don't want to endorse. I'm sorry, we don't endorse, but we want to get information.
Sure.
Does it lean red, blue, purple?
Leans red.
Red. That's what
yeah.
I know. Placer County does. I didn't know if your district did.
No, the area. Well, Placer County, of course, but the district is a fairly. It's not the reddest, but it's a good percentage red. So, and it's actually more red than it was last election.
Okay.
So.
Which is okay. We won't
It's
go down that road.
well, you know, I mean, there's the psychology behind all of this.
I know,
it's
but
really fascinating.
And so I'm going to ask you a really difficult question.
Oh God, okay.
I know it's really okay. You're on.
Sure, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
here.
I know. I asked this once of Sean Rebay, our city manager here
okay,
at Auburn. So how do you if let's assume you win? I want you to win. So
Sure.
we're going to assume that.
Okay.
How do you represent everybody in that red district?
Because they're people.
I know, but
Yeah.
how do you do it? Because you've won on this verbals, you know, on what you stand for,
Okay.
and a lot of those voters, it's just like the country. A lot of the voters don't, you know, we think differently,
Yeah.
and the majority wins, and so that's what we've got. But how do you represent them? Because you represent everybody. And I think Sean one time said something about we can have differences of ideas, but you still have to represent and give them some equal weight or consideration. Maybe that's the word he used. He said it so beautifully.
So I'm a big firm believer. I think Abraham Lincoln said this, that government should do for you what you can't do for yourself. So
that's beautiful. That's really nice.
And I agree, because there are things, no matter what you and I are going to be able to do. I'm not going to be able to build a giant building. I'm not going to be able to make roads. I'm not going to be able to protect the community. I'm not going to be able to negotiate with a foreign country. I can't fly. Am I going to swim across the Pacific Ocean? No, I'm not. So, I mean, there's just things you can't do, and that you need to have some entity that is able to do those for you.
Right.
I think that's where the focus should be. Shouldn't be about, we're all going to have differences of opinion about certain things, but as long as the basic needs are taken care of and understood, and I'll use this as an example, the No Kings rally up here, I don't know if you guys heard, somebody shot a BB gun into it, right?
Yeah, 6 people I think were hurt.
Yes, and it was high-powered. BB guns can kill people.
Yeah.
And especially when they're automatic and shot out randomly into a crowd, if they hit just right, you can blind somebody, you can kill somebody. It just doesn't matter. It's a felony. People at that point are scared. They don't, and this was true. Some of the, I talked to one victim, and then I made a phone call to another victim. I just haven't heard back from her, but I do know from secondhand knowledge that there is fear that, I don't want to, they don't want to go out and protest anymore, because that is just a basic function of your right as an American. Your First Amendment right should be, you should feel comfortable to go out in the street, have an opinion about something, and literally just stand on a street corner and hold a sign and not expect somebody to shoot whatever into the crowd. And what that makes me, it kind of turned that whole notion of representation a little bit on its head for me, because it let's put it this way, it didn't turn it on its head, it sort of like rounded out that notion of representation and sort of made it like, it is your job as a leader to help protect people too. Not just like make certain people have the police are funded or whatever, but you have a responsibility as somebody who's elected, who's representing, to make certain that, I don't care, and I wrote this in a Facebook post, I don't care if you're at No Kings or a Trump train, you should have every expectation of not getting shot at. You should feel safe to exercise your right to say what you need to say. As long as you're doing it peacefully, you should be able to do that. And regardless of my feelings about it, I should protect your right as your representative, no matter what. You take an oath of office to defend the Constitution of the state and of the state of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's what you're supposed to do, is a very basic. And so I think in terms of representation, and representing people who don't agree with me, okay, but you as a human being have basic rights, and it is my job as somebody who has elected to represent you in government to protect those rights.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I see it. You are a human being. I don't agree. Well, you in general, but yes, the general you. But you as a human being, I don't agree with you, but you have every right to be on this planet. And as somebody, I didn't take this job to promote an agenda. I want this job because I think it's important to protect people and protect
it's important to have civility brought back into that whole element. I think. I don't know. It's hard.
Well,
I applaud. I used to. Somebody once told me I did 20 years at the post office, 20 years in radiation therapy, and then I should do 20 in politics. But I ended up doing 30 in radiation and dabbled in politics.
But you did a little bit. You did a little.
Yeah, I did a little. And I actually do love the element of debate about it. Okay. So I do that. On kind of going into this, I wanted to ask, the impact background. There were 3 things I really wanted. What do you think? You just said the job and the reason you got into it. But what do you think your strongest suit is? What's your strongest I want to vote for you. Yeah. What's the strongest thing you can say about yourself to make me vote for you?
I mean, other than like a professional background, the minute I go into the legislature, once I win, I don't have a learning curve. Like a lot of people have a learning curve in terms of process, how the building works, what office is what. I know Ledge Council. I know reprographics. I know, like
so
the hierarchy of the land. I have the lay of the land. So like immediately I can get to work on the things that are the most important.
Okay. So that's a strong suit.
Yeah.
That's a very strong suit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's probably, but like, if you're asking me about like personality-wise, I can get very, what's the word I'm looking for?
I know, we're missing our words today.
I know.
What's the heck?
That's, my great aunt used to say that because I'm missing my words. I miss her. She was wonderful. My great aunt Claire, she was amazing.
Hi, Aunt Claire.
I can be pretty tenacious. Like, I am capable. I have been in underdogs. Last election and this election. Yeah. People told me many, many times last election, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Well, somebody's going to run. Yeah. And the only reason you keep losing because we have to be consistent in the running.
It's like gambling. I love to gamble. And people say, don't gamble, you're going to lose. Well, yeah, if I don't do it, I'm already starting out a loser not doing it. Yeah. But if I do it, I got a chance. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. And, maybe I don't raise a gajillion dollars, which I have my feelings about campaign finance anyways, and how much campaigns should be running to begin with. Shouldn't cost so much, but that's another conversation. I know it is. Yeah. But I just, that there are opportunities in doing something that, the win doesn't necessarily, I mean, it's important. The win is important. And I feel like this time around we can do it. Last election we did it, but the win is important. But there's opportunities along the way for other smaller wins, and so or different wins that could be more impactful too. Well, so just education through doing shows or campaigning, you get a different perspective.
Absolutely,
I think that's important. Yeah, I think, especially like in younger levels, I think they should be exposed to both parties and both campaigns.
100%. Yeah,
that's hard to do because family dynamics say don't go there or whatever, and I get that. But and I'm one that I actually like and revere family dynamics probably more than I should. But anyway, okay. So let me see. That's but your strong suit is really your background. Yeah. So, okay, because Phil's already given us a little time frame, but we'll be okay. We'll be okay. So I want you to list 3 of your most pressing matters on behalf of this election.
Okay.
What's coming on behalf of District 5,
On behalf
actually.
of so that's key because I get asked that question a lot.
Okay.
And a lot of times is I have my personal things of why, when you're running for office, you build your platform. What are your 3 most important things or whatever? And so when you first go in there, you first start running, go in where? When you first start running, you be like, well, what's important to me is drug addiction reform.
Okay.
And that's very important to me. And I still think that that's a very important thing, but then you start getting in talking to like the district and what the district needs. Mm-hmm. And right now what's really, is the whole notion of local control and what the state requires of different counties and different jurisdictions. And, the 2 counties are so Placer County I think has 6 incorporated cities. El Dorado County only has 2, Placerville and South Lake Tahoe. Okay. One of which is in the district. The rest is all unincorporated area ran by 5 separate people, right? Like a board of supervisors, and that's it. And so it's hard for one county or each county to comply with what the state wants it to do if the state isn't smart enough to pass legislation that isn't just blanket legislation that says, we want this and we want that. You can't, El Dorado County is not going to be able to pay for that. Right. You can't make that happen in Cool. You can't make something happen in Cool, which is very, small in comparison to, Roseville. They don't have the same resources. But they're in the same state district, so it's the layer of government that's kind of causing some, and that's true. We can start with the national. It has its rules. It wants to do this. And then we have our state, and then we have counties, and then we have districts. Districts are cut out. I mean, it really can be quite a quandary of what rules to follow. Exactly. And I keep doing this by banging my nickname. Sorry, it's like it's gonna make a noise. But what I think the most pressing issue now, at least for somebody, is more about protection and making certain that the district isn't impacted by what's happening federally and also what's happening on a state level, making certain the interests are represented. Okay. Because as much as I would love and will still work on addiction recovery, education, I want to see universal child care, all of those things. I want to work on those things, but we have to be in a place where we're not constantly fending off attackers. Right. So we can fear is kind of a number one thing, and making people feel safe. And that's a daunting task because you have to work with many police and sheriffs and fire. There's just a lot going into that. Well, and what I realized too, like with the BB gun situation, Supervisor Gustafson was fantastic. We had a briefing with the Placer County Sheriff. They came here in Auburn to do a briefing on what happened, and they were fantastic. And Supervisor Gustafson was there, and she was fantastic. But I haven't really heard anything from like my opponent or anybody else about it. And really, just hearing from somebody and acknowledging that it happened makes a huge world of difference. It just lets people know that there is somebody who is in a position of protection, is there to, and then the ones that are out there, like the supervisor and like Placer County sheriffs, they have also the support on their end to say, we're doing the work. Right. And do we have turning it? Yeah. So, I mean, I realize now how important it is for people to hear that. At first I was like, but I do see it. It's funny that you even bring 2 things I want to comment on that. Number one, you are running against Mr. Patterson, and I would love it if he wanted to come and join me and have a discussion on this show, because I really think that would be wonderful. I just throw that out. But the other thing is, I was kind of like that too. I thought, really, does the governor have to go to every horrible thing? Yeah. I mean, I thought it was, but hearing you and how important that made you feel, I do think on a more local level, it's super important. Yes. The mayors, the councilmen, everything. I don't know. Do I need everybody along the chain to come? I don't know.
I
need
don't know.
everybody, but
No.
you just need, I mean, a
Your
good critical
representative
mass
would
of
be-
somebody,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
And
got
so
it.
I think it was great that Supervisor Gustafson did
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah, she is.
wonderful, thank you. And,
Yeah,
and the sheriff's office, and I think,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
those things go a long way, and people see that, and, you know, it makes them feel safer.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
you know, and that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So fear and protection, I heard, is number 1. Number 2 and 3 are 2 you mentioned, childcare.
Yes, childcare. I would
Universal
love to see
childcare.
universal childcare.
And what does that mean to you?
That means childcare is paid for. So you go to, like, New Mexico instituted this past year, I think, this year.
Okay.
It had been in the works for a while.
Okay.
They laid the groundwork, and basically your kid has free childcare. And that would go a long way towards alleviating a lot of the pressure on parents. There's
Yeah.
like those are
It is.
childcare payments are like mortgage payments for
Yeah,
some parents.
I don't have children. I
Yeah.
have not had that issue. But before we get to the third one,
Sure.
because don't let me forget, how would you fund that?
So that's the thing. It takes some time. So New Mexico went through a process where they built up, I think they created a fund, built into the fund. They also, this is sort of a several-pronged thing, because as much as the state is doing, you know, great things in terms of providing for childcare, there's still providers that are, you know, we still need more providers. We still need better reimbursement rates. We still need for providers. Certain ages have a harder time finding care. So younger kids, via babies, children with disabilities. So you just have to lay the groundwork, build some, you know, funding and grants, and you just, I mean,
Grants
that's
would
how you
be wonderful.
Yeah, so that's sort of the start. But again, these things have been done, and they seem to be working. I mean, we still need some more time to make certain that they're functioning properly. And of course, we're California, and we can just make things awesome. So
we do make things awesome. Yeah.
so you know, I mean, there's a way to do it. You just need to be smart. It can't happen right away.
Right.
And I don't. You know, I got my name on primary sources down there. I don't have my name on all of that.
Right.
I just need,
That's our girl.
I just want it to happen.
Okay, so the third thing that's important to you.
The addiction recovery reform.
Right.
So this is sort of something that's like really near and dear to my heart. I grew up, one of my dad's best friends had a lifelong illness. He had arthritis, but he was like diagnosed when he was 10. And so during the opioid crisis, of course, snagged many people and snagged him. And so he had like just a lifelong addiction to like Percocet, Valium, all of that. And he ended up passing away in 2019. But his addiction had gotten to the point, he lived down in the Bay Area. When my parents moved to from the Bay Area up here, my dad was helping him. He had no more help down there. And so what happened is he got it taken advantage of by somebody who offered additional. Well, he didn't get into that. It was mostly the Percocet and the Valiums, and so you were only allowed a certain amount, and so he was able to supply more of that. And so, so he let the guy live in his house and just took advantage of him financially and the whole deal. So my husband and I, my dad, because he was older, he couldn't really, you know, we took over kind of, and so. Well, my husband did the bulk of the work, and so they were able to. This person who was taking advantage of him had kind of squatted in the house. Anyways, long story short, we got John moved up here in a house in Lincoln, but his supply of drugs just dried up, of course, right? So he would manufacture ways to get into the hospital, and of course the hospitals figure out what's going on, and so they limit his ability to access to drugs. But the problem with this is he was 65 years old, had been on them for 30 years, 40 years. They just cut him off cold turkey.
Yeah.
Right? So you get, what, 20 pills or 30 pills for you know, that'll last him 10 days, you know, if even that. So, you know, so he's miserable through all of that time. There's so much opportunity at this point because the whole objective is we don't want people on this stuff anyways. We don't need the addiction or whatever. But you have a man who's in constant pain.
It's a fine line.
And it's a fine line. And he was in constant pain. And he would manufacture ways to fall and hurt himself. And what he ultimately did is he fell and he broke his back, got him into the hospital. And they were able to do a bunch of tests and found out that like all of his kidneys were failing. Like
Yeah,
he was
I was
just,
gonna say.
he didn't have much longer to live. So they gave him options, right? They said, well, you can stop taking the Percocet, and we'll, you know, you'll have a little bit longer life or whatever, but you'll have to go to rehab and we'll have to find something else for you, or you're gonna have to go into hospice and whatever. Get, you know, unlimited morphine at that point.
Right.
Well, he opted
Comfort
to
care.
go into hospice.
Yeah.
So he chose to go to hospice, and so at that point it was horrible. It was awful. And so all of this time, like, granted, he had his situation, but there was plenty of time in that ensuing where they could have said, you have a problem. You have chronic pain. We get that. And we have to figure out a way, and this medication is working for you. We have to figure out a way to manage your addiction so that you're out of pain. And the drug's going to cause addiction anyways. That's what they do.
Right.
And so we have to figure out a way how to make that so you're not a criminal or have to go, you know, somebody take advantage of you.
You know, and I'll
even,
I think almost all of us, that's a heart-rending story,
Mm-hmm.
and one that I think almost all of us have been touched in some direction.
There's not a person
amazing,
I met.
isn't it?
I don't know a single soul who hasn't been touched by it. Yeah.
And for me, right now, going with some mental illness in my family, it's like, where do you go for help?
No, see, and that's the thing.
And that's horrible.
Yeah, and there is places to go, but it's your heart, and it's getting the information out there. It's also the the ins and outs and the processes and the procedures. There's one very specific opportunity that was, you know, communicated to me that you can get like sepsis and like endocarditis. So like a drug addiction, you go through like whatever, you end up with endocarditis, you end up in the hospital. It is like the perfect opportunity to help people get off the drugs, right? But they don't take the opportunity.
Well,
to do
and
that.
the patients oftentimes don't want to because it hurts.
Well,
it
yeah,
hurts. And
there's folks too that you know, they're terrified. They're already off. Maybe they're using methadone at this point,
right?
And you know, something happens, and it's like some medical thing happens, and I can't go off the methadone because now I'm going to go into the addiction again, and there's nothing else works, and whatever. All of it. There's so much opportunity for reform. So much opportunity to like make it so that. There's so much opportunity for people that, you know, I mean, just so much opportunity for reform, so much opportunity for,
there is.
Yeah, that I think we need
that
to
would
take
be
advantage
a
of
focus of yours should you win.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was a touching story, and you know, everybody is touched by a type of story, so it's a pretty huge concern.
Yeah.
And if you were elected, and this is really a loaded question, I already know kind of. How are you going to start the process of addressing this to make it a solution and not a problem? Yeah,
so I mean, right now I have several people I've been talking to. There's just so many like opinions and ideas on how it can be addressed. I'm a big proponent of harm reduction, which is just sort of meeting people where they're at. That is not something that a lot of people are okay with. That's sort of like the idea there is you know, the prevailing thought is always you want people off of addiction. You don't want them whatever. But there's also the reality that addiction happens, and so
there's
you
also
you have
a medical definition,
and there's medical definitions,
puts this doorstop in the way sometimes.
And so there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's I totally lost my word. But there's, you know, you're meeting people where you're at. So like where they're at and what they're willing to
would start a process.
Yeah, exactly.
Of what might
helping.
Work.
Yeah, because it has been proven, harm reduction has been proven, it's proven to work. And so you just have to help meet people where they're at, help them in ways that will work for them, because if anybody has done anything in their lives, you know, you've got your way to do it. But anyways, where I'm going with this is I would definitely advocate for more harm reduction.
And could you get through some legislation, kind of get the ball rolling
I think
on
so.
that?
And I just haven't formulated exactly what that would be. I do have a very strong opinion about whatever I introduce
Right.
makes sense and isn't just some random piece of language.
Right.
I have seen
well,
too much of
the
that.
history of all that.
Yeah,
too.
because you introduce something, you have to be able to, if it requires money, make certain it has funding.
Right.
You have to make certain that it makes sense. You have talked to all of the stakeholders. I feel very strongly about that. So,
But you're up for that task.
yes.
All right,
yes.
I like that. So, and it would be a formidable task, but it's also one that I think is universal.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really good one. At least I think it is universal. I hope it is. Okay, one last question,
Sure.
and then we're going to kind of wrap it up. So let's say you make it,
Okay.
and I think I might have already asked this, but I don't know. I can't remember if we answered it. And the Republican Party wins the governorship.
Okay.
Can you work okay with that?
Yeah, just like I answered the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's there's plenty of examples. There's this thing going around about how California has just been under Democratic leadership.
Right.
No, we literally just had a Republican governor, 20 years ago.
Right.
Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
You just do what you do. You make sure you work and operate in good faith.
I almost like the balance of the idea.
I do too.
But that's me.
No, I do. Honestly, I do as well. There's some governors that are very good at, like the legislature. Like I said, you have to make certain you introduce bills that make sense. That they're funded. That they that there's something that can be implemented and sustained for a length of time. And governors are good. Like their jobs, veto or sign,
Right.
and they're good at gauging that. They can be good, they can be bad, just depends. But I think Jerry Brown was good at doing that.
Yeah.
So I think having that balance is really important, especially with. I'm not advocating for any governor at this point. The field is giant.
Yes, it is.
So I'm not advocating for
Well, okay, I have
to-
another question. I wasn't the last question. This is an easier one, though, I think. I hope. So the primary is June 2nd.
Yeah.
Everybody get out and vote. But, so what does that mean to you? I know for the governor's race, the top two
It's top two for me.
is top two for you
for
too?
you, me
But
too.
there are only two running?
There's only two.
So why are we
Because it's
putting...
okay, so
I'm sorry.
I had this question, and it's because we have top two. Prior to that, the primary is the whole each party sends their people, right?
Right.
We have top two primary, so it could be both parties, like with the governor's situation.
Right.
And so So last election, there was four of us.
Okay.
So there were one other Republican, one other Democrat.
Okay.
And Joe and I made it through the primary.
Okay.
And the other two, of course, didn't. So then the primary is necessary. Now, it could have been both Republicans got through.
Right.
Or both Democrats
So
got
this
through.
time, is it just the two of you running?
Yes.
Though? So okay.
Yeah, so we go through the primary. Most of our efforts, we're focusing on, just getting our stuff out there as much as we possibly can.
Right.
But,
I think that'd be lovely. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of answers that
Yeah.
because I haven't seen much campaign on that level, but that makes sense. Why would I put a lot into that outside of getting information? You always want to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
we're canvassing and talking to people.
Yeah, yeah.
There's I'm out there. I'm getting my I just had an endorsement interview yesterday.
Yay.
All of that stuff's going on, and I've made my endorsements, and I don't know if I probably can.
Okay.
I've been wanting to say something, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. So
No, I know.
Okay.
We can't. No, we'll stay good. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, so
He'll cut it out if he does
okay,
it's
if
wrong.
you cut it out, if you know. So you guys are in Congressional District 3. I have endorsed Heidi Hall.
Okay.
For Congressional District 6, I have endorsed Tyler Vandenberg.
Okay.
For Governor, I have endorsed Betty Yee.
Oh, you have?
I have.
Interesting.
Those, I've endorsed Sean Frame for Senate District 6.
Okay.
Jaron Brandon for Senate District 4. And that's where I'm at the moment.
Okay.
I don't think
All
I'm
right.
missing. But Amy Slavinsky for Assembly District 7, which is that's the one that butts up to Folsom and
Okay.
El Dorado Hills.
Okay. Okay.
Diana James for Assembly District 1, which matters for you guys because that's the one that butts up against
Colfax.
Colfax
Yeah. Okay.
in that area.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm okay. I can't really, but I'm just gonna put my endorsement out there. But it's not AAUW or ACTV, and that I like Matt Mahan out of San Jose.
Okay.
I do. I don't think he has much of a chance, but I like him.
Well, it's such a, you never know. I know there's a bunch of,
Yeah, I know.
Because there's a bunch of calls for people to be like, we have to, some of the Democrats have to drop out because it's going to be the top two Republicans. But I don't. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. So
right now, it kind of is heading that way, and we're only 2 months away from the election. But anyway, get out and vote, and try to get as much information about everything that you can, and make a really good vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay,
Love you. Thank you for joining
You're welcome.
me.
Thanks for asking me again.
This
is
fun.
So much fun.
Okay, we might have to do it again
I
for
agree.
the general election,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
Okay, so, but anyway, we will, my lovely Phil is nodding his head. But I want to wish all of you a happy spring. I want you to know that AAUW had their trivia bee last week, and it's over and done, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's over and done, but it was quite fun, and I think it was quite successful. The next thing coming up for AAUW, if there's time on this filming, is April 20th. I'm part of the program for that. It's at 1 o'clock, it's a Monday, and we're having it at the General Gomez Center. We're taking a little deviation from STEM and everything serious, well, not serious, the soul, and doing arts in Auburn. We're going to talk a little bit from the symphony, the library, the Gomez Center, and the State Theater. So hopefully it's free to all, 1 o'clock on the 20th. Let's see, I think that's it, other than take care of each other, be smart and strong. Take care. See you next time.